Good afternoon. My name is Caitlin Hutchinson, and I will be talking to you today about air quality. Start with a short video.
Air pollution is just smelly gas that comes from cars and cigarettes and chimneys. It's bad for your lungs. When you breathe it in, sometimes you can stop breathing, and then lives are being wasted just because of air pollution.
You know, the thing about air pollution is that it affects everyone. Young, old, rich and poor, we all breathe the same air.
Breathing clean air is a fundamental human right. Breathing polluted air can not only make worse respiratory conditions such as asthma, diseases such as emphysema, chronic bronchitis, but it can also affect the way in which our lungs develop and the way in which our children's lungs develop within urban environments.
I can tell that there's air pollution when I walk on the street.
If you're walking behind a bus or a car or so on, that can really take over.
There are many sources of air pollution. Road traffic and industry are the main sources. Road vehicles are a major source of emissions of a number of air pollutants, particularly oxides of nitrogen, hydrocarbons and other vapours, and airborne particles. The oxides of nitrogen and the organic compounds can react together in sunlight to form ozone, all of which have an impact on health.
Exposure to air pollution can shorten life. The most likely component of air pollution to do that is particles, but there is some suggestion that ozone also plays a role.
The ozone in the stratosphere is beneficial in that it protects us from harmful ultraviolet radiation, but the ozone at ground level where we breathe it is damaging both to growing crops and also to human health. So it's associated with a worsening of respiratory disease and therefore increased hospital admissions and mortality for respiratory diseases.
By not tackling air pollution, we're almost handing a disadvantage to future generations who have been born in areas with high levels of traffic pollution.
So, as you'll see from this video, air pollution affects not just us, but people around the world, people of all ages, and it is dangerous, potentially dangerous for future generations such as yourself and even people who will be born after you. So, briefly, as discussed in the video, air pollution is the outdoor air which is full of contaminants, different particles that can be harmful to you, especially when you inhale and they become trapped in your lungs. These can be from various things such as buses, planes, regular modes of transportation, things such as construction or removal of trees and land, and just general other pollutants that you might see, such as if you've heard people talk about how cows pollute the air. That can be a natural pollutant as well. Other things such as the chemicals that you use in your home, such as hairspray or cleaning products, can also affect air pollution as well. So the importance of having clean, healthy air is that it can help you do better in school. It can create healthier environments both in the home and school. It can also improve your health. So if you have asthma or even if your eyes get itchy or watery a lot from allergies, that can be related to air pollution as well. And the fact that better air quality can increase your health, this can also improve your education. So if you are healthier and you're feeling better, then you're going to be more alert when you're studying, and it will be easier for you to remember the things that you have learned. It's also very important to note that the quality of air that you have inside your home can be as much as 100 times more than the quality outside your home, because there are things like walls and roofs. It's an enclosed space, so it is the air becomes more compact, and anything in the air becomes more concentrated. So it's kind of like the difference between water and soda. So they both have water, but one has syrup, so it's a lot more sugary. There's more packed into that small bottle. This matters because as it stands right now, about half of the nation's students, which there's over 100,000 students, suffer from health problems related to poor air quality. Again, things like asthma, allergies. It has even been noted to be associated with ADD or ADHD. It can even cause long-term health problems as you get older, reducing your ability to play outside, to play sports. And if you have poor air quality indoors, this can mean that you're not sleeping as well, or that you're getting a decreased quality of healthy sleep, which can make you more tired during the day. It can also reduce your attention and your memory ability. And as young students, you are at an increased risk for these sort of health problems because your bodies are growing much quicker than an adult like myself. So my body is more or less at a fixed point of growth where you are continuously growing even as you're sitting here. So because of that, you are intaking much more air in a given day than I am, because your body needs that amount of increased air and oxygen to promote growth. So it is very important, especially for young people like yourselves, that we have good, clean air. So now we're going to move on to the second section of air quality. We're going to start with a short video.
Would it surprise you to learn that 10 times out of 10, the air inside the average home measures higher in contaminants than the air outside? In fact, indoor air pollution in U.S. homes exceed levels of outdoor pollution by anywhere from 2 to 100 times. For allergy sufferers, it's a worst-case scenario. Ask any allergy sufferer and they'll tell you, allergies blow. And it's not easy to shut allergens out completely. The dust, pollen, smoke, and mold spores that float around outside make a formidable allergen force on their own. Add a buildup of dust mites and pet dander to those rings, which is what you get indoors, and a lot of allergy sufferers start to fantasize about colonizing space. Because most of us spend 90% of our lives indoors, it's unpleasant to think of home as another place to combat allergens. It's especially true for the 1 in 5 who suffer from allergies or asthma. Relief doesn't have to be just a fantasy, though. The great thing about indoor spaces is allergy deterrents that are natural to that environment. Once you know exactly what those are, you can focus on strengthening them. Carpets, rugs, and other soft furnishings are one example. Did you know that they help filter dirt, allergens, and bacteria from the air inside your home? In fact, carpet traps up to 8 times its weight in dirt and dust, as much as a pound of dirt per square yard, and an average of 200,000 bacteria per square inch as well. That's good to know, but passive defenses won't do the work alone. So what's the secret to sustainable allergy relief without turning into Bubble Boy or Girl? Well, because you probably want to keep your pets, and because dust mites don't vacuum themselves, and because bacteria and pollen won't be eradicated without also eradicating the ozone layer, then the only real relief will come from regular cleaning and other healthy home practices. Here are a few tips to focus your efforts. Place doormats and area rugs at both sides of entries, and make it a habit to dust in those areas. Also, get into the habit of weekly vacuuming. Wash all bedding regularly and consider replacing padded bed covers with more allergy-resistant ones. Bathe and groom pets regularly. Replace furnace filters on time. And as much as possible, keep windows and doors closed to shut out pollen, smog, and dust. Because Because carpets filter so much gunk out of the air, it's important to keep them cleaned every 3 to 4 months by professionals who use a natural, safe, and effective solution, like ChemDry. ChemDry's hot carbonating extraction cleaning process penetrates deep into carpet fibers and is proven to remove an average of 98% of common household allergens from carpet and upholstery, and 89% of airborne bacteria when a sanitizer is added. ChemDry's green certified solution is natural, contains no soaps or detergents, and is safe and non-toxic for kids and pets. With over 3,500 ChemDry franchises worldwide, chances are good there's one close to you. While there are lots of issues with indoor air quality, following these few simple practices will improve the healthfulness of your home and the air you and your family breathe.
Okay, so this video illustrates the overall importance of needing to keep your home clean. And I know that's something, especially as kids, cleaning your room, helping to clean the house isn't always the funnest thing. But especially if you suffer from asthma or any type of allergy, you can see how important it is to help keep your home clean. So next time your mom or dad asks you to pick up your room or help dust or maybe even help vacuum, don't think of it as a chore. Think of it more as keeping yourself and your family healthy. Just like the need for taking a shower or a bath every day helps take off all the dirt and any sort of viruses or bacteria that could be potentially harmful to you, you also need to regularly clean your home and your pets, because something that is going to be close to your face is you're going to breathe in a lot of that dirt and dust from pets. And if you sit a lot and play video games, or you have a lot of homework that you do inside, that also increases the amount of this almost static air that you're breathing in, because it doesn't have a lot of airflow. Now, the concept of leaving your windows and doors open isn't really a big problem here, because it gets so hot during the summer that we tend not to leave our windows open to promote, because then that will release air conditioning, and air can get expensive and you don't want to just let it go out the window. So that's not as much of a problem here. Now, in other areas of the country and the world, that has been shown to be a bigger problem. So what can happen that is a good thing for air quality? Now, air quality has been shown to be one of the leading factors for health for children over the last 5 or more years. And the increase in ability of healthy air has shown also to help students like yourself reach their goals in outside activities and education. So this is very important. So when we do things like vacuuming or using more natural cleaning products, and maybe doing carpool to reduce car pollution, all those things can help improve air quality. And this can be very good, not just for the air and environment itself, but it can also be very good for you, for your health, for your ability to go run around outside and play with your friends, or even your ability to sit in a classroom and learn. So one of the bad points about air quality, which is what we've talked about the most here, is how bad air or poor air quality can affect your health, which is one of the biggest factors for a push towards having clean, healthy air. So air pollution can cause everything from respiratory problems. So if you've ever noticed somebody who has a persistent cough, or you've heard people say, oh yes, I have bronchitis, sometimes that can be related to, or it can also be, air pollution can also make that worse. Things like asthma, which I'm sure you at least know a friend who might have asthma, so it's very common. Other things like allergies. You often hear grown-ups say, oh yes, I have my summer allergies or my fall allergies. Well, that comes from things that can add to air pollution, like dander and pollen and things like that. Poor air quality can also contribute to headaches. And this has even been an increasing problem in young children such as yourself, where when air gets very dense and full of high contaminants, you have an increase in headaches and it's harder to concentrate when you're in school, or even you're talking to your friends or having a conversation with your parents. But that doesn't mean if you have a headache and you don't want to talk to your parents, you can blame it on the air. So, air quality affects many different aspects of our personal lives, our community, and our environment. So the environment contributes a lot to air pollution, but it's also the way in which we as people use and interact with the environment. So this all plays into a part of air pollution. And just as it's not healthy for us, it's not healthy for things like plants. If you have a thick layer of air pollution, it can leave a film on leaves of plants, and you won't get things like the pretty flowers we enjoy, or the wonderful trees that are just great for climbing or building tree houses and putting rope swings on. And by damaging things like trees and flowers, you're also contributing to an increase in air pollution, because plants are one of our number one effective tools for cleaning the air. So it's very important to keep those healthy as well. So now we're going to move on to our third and final section of air quality with a short video.
While foggy London town sets the mood for so many great scenes in films and literature, while poetic, the fog is seriously poisonous. Hey guys, Julia here for D-News. While London fog is now a thing of Dickens novels and old noir films, blankets of suffocating air pollution still dominate the skylines in many countries. Most recently seen in striking images coming out of Beijing, China, cloaked in smog. Some are even calling it the airpocalypse. Smog fills the air so thickly major landmarks disappear and many outdoor activities are canceled. In China this month, readings of tiny particulate matter in the air reached nearly unheard of levels at 500 micrograms per cubic meter. Here in the US, we rarely see a reading of over 300. Smog is caused by little particles that float around in the air. Lots of particles wind up in the air for all sorts of reasons, from house dust to dust from roads and sidewalks to exhaust from cars and power plants. It affects the body because many of the particles are tiny and can accumulate in your lungs. Like dust from crushed up gravel or sidewalks can be around 10 micrometers in diameter. Smaller particles form when gases from burning fuel reacts with sunlight and water. These can be as tiny as 2.5 micrometers across and are considered the greatest health risk. So how much can the body handle? Well, according to the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, those small particle levels cannot exceed more than 35 micrograms per cubic meter over a 24-hour period, while levels of those larger particles can be more than 150 micrograms per cubic meter over the same time period. Air pollution is so tightly controlled because it's linked to all sorts of health problems like heart disease, anxiety, stroke, and even not so obvious ones like autism and low academic achievement. Because they're so small, they can get into your lungs and cause some deep and serious damage. Dr. Norman H. Edelman, a consultant from the American Lung Association, said smog is like a sunburn inside your lungs. And think about it, it's like little grains of sand irritating the lining of your lungs. Of course that's going to inflame them and make it hard to breathe, possibly triggering asthma attacks. To give one example of smog's deadliness, in 1952, smog killed anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 people over 4 days in London. The air was so thick, all traffic was stopped, and you couldn't see more than 5 yards in front of you. While you might think that's in the past, well, you'd be wrong. According to last year's World Health Organization's report on air pollution, the problem still kills more than 7 million people a year. But what's more insidious are the long-term effects, including cancer. One study published in the journal Atmospheric Environment found that one of the main
components of and main agent of air pollution's toxicity are compounds called oxygenated polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. These compounds are so small they kind of get stuck in your DNA and affect cell regulation and replication, which leads to mutations, which of course can cause cancer. The WHO's cancer agency linked air pollution to lung and bladder cancer. And in 2013, the WHO classified outdoor air pollution as a leading cause of cancer, alongside other known carcinogens like asbestos and tobacco products. And they have even caused 223,000 lung cancer deaths, according to 2010 data. As for air pollution in China, some researchers say it's significantly increasing the risk for lung cancer there. But what about the opposite? Which cities are the cleanest? TestTube News has the answer for you right here.
Zurich in Switzerland also received high points for lowest CO2 emissions. Both countries have strict limits on high-polluting vehicles, but there is also a societal push to use public transit, bicycling, and walking.
So have you ever been in a smog-clogged city? Tell us about it down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons and keep coming.
Okay, so that video was very helpful to illustrate the impact, both past and present, of air pollution. As noted there, the many deaths back in the 1900s in London were caused by air pollution, and the pollution right there was actually noted to be similar to the current air pollution problem in China. Of course, the difference being that we have a better understanding and we also have better medicine, as well as better communication outlets such as social media and cell phones, which were not available at that time. The common link, though, between both of those incidents was the burning of coal and other things to produce power. Now, there's been a push in other parts of the world, such as Switzerland, as mentioned there, Zurich, and also some cities in Germany. Now, they have pushed for, as they said, higher regulations for cars. So I'm sure if you've ever heard your parents talk about getting a smog check for their car, that is what this is referring to. It's one of the regulations for car emissions to help reduce air pollution and increase health. Other things such as pushes to increase public transportation and biking and walking, which, while reducing air pollution, also helps increase overall fitness and respiratory capacity, so that your lungs are stronger and your body is stronger as well, which also increases things like education, mobility, and reduces things like illness and disease. One of the other things that has begun to be more prominent in our country and other countries is the concept of natural energy. So if you've ever heard of people getting solar panels on their house, or a push for your state to use wind powered energy. Out here we have a large wind power plant. We also have large solar fields here in California, and there is a greater push right now for thermal energy, which is where there's cracks in the earth and hot steam is coming up because in the core of the earth, where we have the lava and molten particles, it hits the water and it creates steam, and that can be used to create energy as well, which can reduce the need for burning things like oil and coal and things like that, which add to air pollution. So these are things that are happening more on a larger scale, both within the governments and within communities, and at some level, especially for solar power, these are things that can even happen for your home. Now, specifically, these are some things that you can do yourself, or you and your parents can do. You can make it a family project to do over a period of a few years or a few months. Do things like ensuring that you have good ventilation in your home. So not only that you have airflow so that air doesn't get stagnant, but also that you're making sure that that windows aren't open when there's heavy smog or things like that, because yes, that will increase air movement, but it will also let bad air in. to help with this, you can also make sure that the filters for your air conditioning are regularly changed or cleaned. This can be as easy as taking some filters off, depending on how sturdy they are, and just giving them a quick wipe down like you would a counter or something. You can also, most homes, all newer homes, are required to have carbon monoxide detectors, and this is a very harmful aspect of air and air pollution contributor that can actually cause extreme illness or even death if these levels get too high. One other thing that you can do to help is you can filter air. So again, cleaning the air filters for your air conditioning, but also having plants. A great way to filter your air is making sure that you have trees surrounding your home and your neighborhood, and nice bushes and flowers surrounding your home and neighborhood as well. And you can also have some of these in your house. If you've seen people, sometimes they'll have smaller house plants. Maybe your parents have some on shelves, or they have decorative flowers around in pots. All of this can help to filter out air in a natural way that both helps the environment overall, but it also helps you specifically with your health. So we're going to end with this video that's going to give some ending information about air quality, clean air, and how to help.
In December 2015, China issued a red alert warning for their capital, Beijing. Smog and air particle levels were 10 times higher than the World Health Organization's safety standards. The alert shut down schools and stopped construction, reflecting China's ongoing issues with pollution. At that same time, the rest of the world was meeting in Paris for the United Nations Climate Change Convention in an attempt to tackle growing environmental concerns. So while Beijing is covered in smog, we wanted to know, what are the cleanest cities in the world? A 2012 Green City Index reported by the Economist Intelligence Unit examined each major world region to determine which global factors contribute to cleanliness. In Europe, many of the top spots were captured by Nordic countries, with Copenhagen in Denmark as the cleanest city overall. Zurich in Switzerland also received high points for lowest CO2 emissions. Both countries have strict limits on high-polluting vehicles, but there is also a societal push to use public transit, bicycling, and walking. Even the 2009 Copenhagen Accord saw the world's major economies come together for the first time to lower global emissions. In Latin America, a clear and repeat winner for the cleanest city has been Curitiba in Brazil. The city was the first to introduce bus rapid transit in 1974 and has continued the trend of working with its citizens to provide environmental benefits. A recycling program called Garbage, that's not garbage, has led to about 3/4 of the city's trash to be recycled by residents. Other programs, like one which trades bus tokens for recycling, shows how effective communal and governmental efforts can be. Another top recycler, this time in Asia, is the city-state of Singapore. On average, they generate less trash per person than the rest of the continent, but they also keep the city clean through high-density planning and infrastructure investment. Recycling and water treatment plants are state-of-the-art and designed around supplying the uniquely compact city. With so many people living so close together, it is very important to produce as little waste as possible. Over in North America, it's health-conscious San Francisco that takes the lead. According to the GCI, San Francisco recycles as much as 77% of their waste, which is more than any European city besides Leipzig in Germany. Another reason is that SF requires commercial building owners to submit regular energy usage reports, leading to considerably lower usage overall. This, coupled with a high-sharing economy, high-quality public transit, and marginal environmental tax benefits, makes SF incredibly clean. Lastly, and unfortunately, no cities score well above average in Africa. The highest ranked, Accra in Ghana, is not necessarily the cleanest, but they get major points for having a direct bureaucratic link with the national government concerning the environment. This helps not only in monitoring, but also action, and is found lacking in most African cities profiled. Overall, the most consistent aspect of environmental friendliness seem to be based on society's willingness to take part. Mass transit and recycling help bring down emissions, as does efficient city planning and government policy, but it should come as no surprise that without the support of the people, there is little that can be done to save the earth. While it is nice to live in a city with no pollution, Much of the world does not have that luxury. To find out what pollution actually does to your body, check out this video by D News.
Smog is caused by little...
Okay, so the study that they talked about, the Green City study, is actually a very informative paper. If you're ever interested in finding out more about what these cities have done to help reduce pollution and the criteria for having a clean city, I would highly recommend checking this paper out. You can go over it with your parents. You can even go over it and maybe come up with some ideas and submit them to your local government, your mayor or a city councilman or something, or a person like that, and help get the ball rolling to help make your city, your community, and your country a cleaner place and a healthier place for you and your family and future generations.